481 voting districts have been completed so far, and that's an average of about 31.46%. And when we look at it, the ANC is leading there with 61.78%, the DA 18.27%, the EFF 11%, the Freedom Front Plus at 4.25%, and then the ATM, which is very interesting, a new party that came up in October 2018, and they have about 1,286 votes, which is 0.64%. How do you see this shaping up?
I think that maybe we should start with the ANC. The critical thing, if I were running a political party in the Free State, and I'm in the ANC, I'd be very, very worried, because if you look at the trend, they have been on a downward trend. From, if you look at 2004, they commanded 81%, they come down 71% in 2009, and then to 2014 they are at 70%. But now, so far, obviously we've got to qualify, to say that we're still counting. They're sitting at 61. They're like in the lower 60s. And I would not be happy with that kind of trend for my political party in the medium long term. The second thing that I would be worried about if I were in the ANC in the Free State would be the entry of the EFF,
right?
Because you see that where there's a dramatic drop, say from 2009 2014, the EFF comes in, they immediately take 88% of the, and you see the ANC coming down from 71 to 69%. So the EFF has had an almost direct impact, I would say, on ANC support in the Free State, because it's essentially, remember the EFF comes out of the ANC. So essentially it is the same people, the same ideological background, same history of people who are migrating, from the ANC, I would say, to the EFF. The happiest party would be the Democratic Alliance, because if you look at 2004, they're 8.4%, and then they're now at 16, and likely now indications are that they're in the heading towards the 20% mark.
Folks, I just want to remind you that this is about 31% of the voting districts completed. So this is where we are standing at the moment. I want to zoom in onto the ATM. It's very interesting. As I said, it's a party that came up in October last year, but it's doing well here. Also, if you look at a province like the Eastern Cape, you see the ATM there with 10,759 votes. If I cast my mind back to March, I think they won a by-election in the Eastern Cape in March, and they had about 30%. So maybe you could start seeing the trends from local to a national level. Can you see it?
I think that from an ideological point of view, Blaine, if we looked at, there are two ways of looking at ATM as well as ACM. You could either look at them as independent, new parties, new kids on the block who are charting a completely different ideological path into the future. Or you could look at them as Jacob Zuma supporting formations, essentially, that are basically set up by people who are coming out of the ANC. Well, so it's not as if there's a new ideological consideration or position that has come out of that. My take would be that it would be the latter. I would say that they really are, if you look at ATM, Free State, it's the same crowd of people, the people who tend to support Ace Magashule and them, they would gravitate towards the ATM. They would also gravitate towards the ACM. I'm not seeing it here. I wonder where they are in the Free State, where Claude Mutsening comes from. In the Eastern Cape, it's the same thing, Jimmy Mani. They were organizing using essentially the non-mainstream or the independent religious formation, Christian formations, to garner support. But I would not read too much into this. I think that it's probably driven to a large extent by what we often call the coalition of the wounded of the ANC.
Okay, I want to talk about coalitions generally, but stand by, Mike. I want to go now to KwaZulu-Natal. It's where my colleague Ainam Mhlongo is standing by at the provincial ROC, the Results Operations